Welcome to our posts. Today we will see stories of r/malicious compliance. If I don't like it, I can find another job? Okay. I think this qualifies. I worked at a small shop serving an electrical apprenticeship. Myself and the shop manager had had a few run-ins, and I assume he disliked me as much as I disliked him. I had refused to do a job and told him he didn't pay me enough. It was at the stockyards, and I was expected to put on a set of waders, crawl down into a raw fat reclamation tank, and replace a submersible pump. Wasn't going to happen. Another time he wanted me to lie to a customer to make an issue they were having sound like it wasn't our fault. I refused and told him if he wanted to lie about it, he was going to have to drive out to the job site and do it himself. He told me to keep my mouth shut and did come out. I think the only reason he didn't fire me was I was by far one of the most efficient and versatile employees. This fact had me questioning how much I was getting out of this apprenticeship and was passively looking around for another shop to apprentice at. My wage scale was structured, and I got regular raises, bringing me closer to journeyman's level over my time as an apprentice. So, I had to find someone that would sign up to complete my apprenticeship as well as want to hire me. One of our better journeymen had gone to another shop and had introduced me to the owners. We had talked about what it would take to get me to move. Things were progressing, but nothing committed to at that point. The malicious compliance. It's my evaluation and raise time. My manager calls me up to the conference room and explains that due to my performance and the shop being in a slow period, he was not going to give me the 25 cents an hour raise as my contract said, but was going to give me $1 more an hour once I became a journeyman. We argued, and I told him, if I can't trust you for a quarter, why would I believe the dollar? The argument ended in him telling me, if you don't like it, you can always quit. Oh, really? I picked up the conference room phone on the table in front of us and called the shop I had been talking with. I asked the owner if I brought my tools over today, would I have a job? After a quick and uncomfortable discussion with his partner, he said yes. I informed my manager I resigned effective now. I loaded my tools up, punched out, and went straight to work that afternoon. Next story. He told me if I had a problem with him, I should bring it up to HR. So I did. Just happened today. So a little backstory. I work for a warehouse that specializes in computer equipment. It's generally very uneventful, everyone is mostly nice to each other, save for one unsavory engineer. He had a reputation for being very belligerent and almost impossible to work with, but with a couple months left till his retirement, people tended to leave him alone. I know all too well he would be gone by summer, so I decided not to engage with him till he was gone. Cue this morning when I went to the warehouse to do some small inventory. And up comes the engineer huffing and puffing. Without evidence, he started accusing me of messing around with some pallets he was working on. Calmly, I explained to him that I did not, and he can check the camera he installed in the warehouse to see that I did no such thing. He kept on insisting that I did, growing increasingly angrier, and started cussing me out in a warehouse full of people. But I did not waver, and calmly insisted he can just check the security footage that he has access to, but the F-bomb's just coming out. At this point, I calmly told to him to breathe, 'cause he was getting out of control. And this is where it went from bad to worse. He started screaming and cussing even louder that he is 50 years older than me, and I can not effing tell him to do crap. I said nothing and watched as the engineer get redder and redder in the face. Eventually, he yelled, "If you have a effing problem with how I act, bring it up to HR or the boss," and stomped away. So, I did just that. I made a quick note of who was in the warehouse, noted the time, asked 3 people to be my witnesses of what happened. So up to HR I went, and poured out every exhaustive detail I can remember. I explained that I'd been in enough companies to know that kind of treatment and verbal abuse borderlines harassment, if not pure threatening behavior. I explained, very calmly, I am not comfortable working in that environment, and I do not wish to escalate the situation anymore. I just wanted the incident documented and on record in case the engineer tried to twist the story to management. HR said they would take care of it. 2 hours later, I found out the engineer was told to go home. And not even 20 minutes later after that, he had been made permanently working from home. And not even 20 minutes after that, I found out all the engineer's credentials had been revoked, his remote access to the company network disabled, and his day-to-day duties was divided to other people. His final project is now to write up his tasks and how to do them. With 7 months left to his retirement, it's not looking very good that he'll be around till then. Next story. You want me to clean your side path? No problem. So a few years ago I was helping to lay a new concrete driveway at my mother's house. Some of the runoff water ran into the neighbor's side pathway, leaving a slight discoloration. A simple wash would have removed this, but the neighbor complained and told us we had to clean it up. Now this is fair enough, but they weren't very polite in asking us about it, especially when we had no idea it had happened. Anyway, I agreed to clean the path for them. So I got out the power washer and started at the front of the house. This path has not been cleaned in a long time, so the power washer was making a noticeable difference. Up the path I went, doing a very thorough job of getting all the years of grime off, including the slight concrete slurry from our work. I continued up to the point where the runoff started, and then I stopped. I left a perfectly etched line that really made it obvious just how filthy the path was before I washed it. Up it went, all the way up the side of the house, plain to see. I'd cleaned up every last bit of concrete runoff and made that pathway shine until it didn't. They couldn't really complain, as it wasn't my job to clean the entire path and I had cleaned up all the concrete runoff as agreed. My mother doesn't get along with them at all, so she was happy with the result even though she didn't originally want me to clean it for them. Next story. Christmas Karen wants boneless chicken breast. To preface, I am a career butcher, and at the time was working for the food hole. If anyone isn't familiar, the meat department becomes crazy around November and doesn't abate until after Christmas. We took holiday orders in person then, now, mostly all online, unless they're odd. As you might imagine, the orders are usually for standing rib roasts, tenderloins, hams, turkeys, and ducks/geese. They really add up, and for my boss, sorting all the paper orders is a nightmare. Enter Karen, I would like to place a holiday order. Me, gets relevant info, cool, what would you like on the 24th? Karen, 1 pound of boneless chicken breast. Me, oh. No problem, you actually don't need to order that, we'll have plenty of regular chicken, steaks and burger, you only need to place an order for roasts, etc. Karen, I had to wait forever last year, this year, I don't want to wait, so I'll order it. Me, we'll have 2 lines, so if you're just coming to get regular items, you won't need to wait in the order line. Karen, but I want to make sure. At this point, I was already way done, so I decided I would comply maliciously. I took her order, then proceeded to inform every single person in my department of the situation and the plan. The day of, she came up, told the guy at the counter she wanted chicken breast. Having been warned by me, he asked, "Did you pre-order it?" Karen, yes. Coworker, okay, let me go search through the sheet to find your order. Karen, you can just grab it from the case. Coworker, no, we already have yours put away, I'll find it. I wouldn't want it to get lost in the cooler and go bad over Christmas. Karen, frustrated, okay. Coworker goes to our order book, searches through, and finds her name, and says, okay. I found you on the list, now I just have to find your order. Coworker enters cooler, and, as trying to find a pack of chicken breast in a cooler full of roasts is like trying to find a needle in a haystack, it took him about 15 minutes. At multiple points through the ordeal, other employees greeted her, she tried to get them to get her chicken breast, and they all told her, because I had warned them, that she had to wait for the one specifically put aside for her. I estimate that she waited almost 30 minutes, including line time, to get to our counter. Next story. Why did you schedule this call on my off hours? Day off, attending a hazard reduction burn, so out in the bush with a fire truck, suited up and running around like a happy pyromaniac. I get a phone call from work, I answer and get told I must be present for a virtual meeting scheduled for 10 minutes time for a training on a system I already know, as I had been using it for the past 6 months at a venue. I remind them that it is my day off, and my manager speaks with the tone of "do it or you are fired." Alrighty then. First strike, manager is late to their own meeting. The meeting eventually starts and I have connected by my phone and Bluetooth earphones, my camera and mic are off because of the noise, the other firefighters are having a chuckle at my expense. Then my manager insists I turn my camera and mic on, otherwise they will mark me as absent. Alrighty then. I stand in a spot where the fire will roar up behind me, somewhat safely, and turn my phone camera and mic on. The rest of the firefighters go nuts with the radio chatter as the people in the virtual meeting see yours truly masked up, full ensemble with the noise of fire roaring up behind him, the sound of the pump and the panicking radio chatter. I then end the call. Manager then begins to frantically ring, as she thinks she has just seen one of her better team members go up in flames. They never scheduled training on my days off after that, jumped ship to a competitor 2 months later. I hope you guys like this video. If you did, make sure like, comment, share and subscribe the channel or posts.